episode 465 of Good Luck High Five.
That's right. You're listening to a podcast that's for you if you love Magic the Gathering. Whether you are at home jamming some arena, maybe you're in those sweet decathlon events.
I am.
Or you're looking forward to playing some Commander over the holidays, we are here for you.
I'm one of your hosts, Maria.
I'm another one of your hosts, Megan.
And on today's show, we are going over the top moments of 2021.
Yeah, man, 2021 was long. It was so long.
What a year.
It was such a year. In fact, earlier today, Maria told me that Call Time came out in February of this year.
That's right.
And I literally could not believe it.
Yeah, Call Time.
I cannot express the extent to which I did not believe
February
that
5th
was the truth.
Dropped.
I swore it was last December.
Yeah. Isn't that unbelievable? Time isn't real,
certain.
as we say on the show.
Ugh,
Time isn't real.
Not even a little bit.
So we're going to go through the top 10 moments of this year. It's, besides being just, a horrific year in a lot of ways, tons of things to remember and some good memories amongst the bunch.
Good stuff, bad stuff, a lot of stuff in between.
Absolutely.
This is kicking off the first of really kind of like two retrospective shows to close out the year for Good Luck High Five. This time we'll be talking about the top 10 moments of 2021 and also just kind of being like, remember those things that happened?
Go through the stuff that occurred.
Yeah.
Because it was, it was a year of big change for Magic, quite honestly.
It really was. And then next episode is going to be, of course, our iconic Crimbies episode.
Iconic.
Where we hand out all sorts of awards to different cards and events and sets and everything that we could possibly hand out awards to for the season.
So don't miss this episode. I mean, you're listening to it, so you're probably not gonna, but...
But also don't miss the next episode. Don't miss what you're listening to, and don't miss what hasn't come out yet.
As we round out the year, we want to take this time to say thank you to everybody who's made this show happen over the past year, which is all of our wonderful patrons.
We had such a fun Die Hard watch along this past weekend.
Great.
Oh, what a film.
It was great.
What a film. And so moving forward in January 2022, we're going to kick off another round of Good Luck High Five patron only tournaments.
I love those.
With an alchemy tournament.
Alchemy.
Which is going to be January 15th.
Yes.
But then in February, we're going to do another movie watch along with all of our patrons. So anyone who wants to watch along who's a patron will be able to watch along in February as just sort of always looking for ways to say thank you and bring events to our patrons that they will hopefully have a great time participating in. So consider becoming a patron, get all of those benefits, access to our sweet Discord, and so much more.
Yeah, patreon.com/GLHF Magic. By the way, we had a couple diehard virgins in our watch along.
Wow.
Which was an extra delight.
Amazing. We also saw some haunted photos of Alan Rickman in like a BBC.
Yeah,
or like
1978.
1978 Romeo and Juliet.
He played Tybalt.
Which I believe, like, great role for Alan Rickman.
Oh, absolutely.
Except that it was...
The photos were haunted.
I cannot...
He has a bowl cut. Just Google it, everybody.
And like he hasn't grown into his face yet. His face looks bigger than the rest of him, which I know.
He looks top heavy. He looks head heavy.
He looks face heavy specifically. He looks face heavy, which is like, I don't know.
Which is shocking because of the gorgeous human being that Alan Rickman grew into.
He is obvious, yes. Looks incredible. I also still say that we can partially blame costuming, hair, and makeup for what happened there.
Yeah, these sorts of things are what you can expect from Good Luck High Five watch-alongs.
Hanging out in Good Luck High Five. So become a patron today. We super appreciate it.
Thank you as well to Card Kingdom for being our incredible sponsor for the whole of this past year and many other years. Check out cardkingdom.com/GLHF. If you want to buy anything before the end of the year, they've got everything you could want, including custom products that we always mention on this show because they are so cool and nobody else makes them. Like the beginner decks, like the battle decks, like their pre-constructed commander decks.
Wonderful.
Check them out.
Especially if you're heading to some family gatherings, you better be vaccinated.
Yes.
2, you better wear a mask. 3, you better get your COVID test done first.
Yeah.
But if you are then safely hanging out with some family, maybe grab some pre-constructed commander decks to give them a little intro to the game. Have a real fun time.
These decks are super cool for introducing anybody to how to play Magic, the beginner decks. They're super cost effective, and they're really fun and really well built. And it's just a cool special thing that Card Kingdom does that we just love about them. It's time for the top 10 moments of 2021.
Yes. I just have to say one of which is, I just thought of this, but.
Oh, you thought of a number 11?
I just thought of the fact that I'm holding this mug, which this is a secret top moment.
Oh, yeah.
The production company for the Innistrad Championship.
Coming in at number 11, this mug.
Sent a bunch of send stuff to the people working the event.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they sent was a mug. And it was supposed to be a mug that said, the blood of my enemies, like that's what you're drinking.
Because it was for Crimson Vow.
But instead they sent...
I don't even think this was their fault. I think this is whoever made the mugs' fault.
Whoever made the mugs. But it's like... the Nasty Women Club, but it's like someone giving the finger. It's just very funny to us.
A severed hand
giving the
finger with some flowers.
Which is just very funny.
It's definitely moment number 11.
Definitely a moment getting this mug and having them have to send everyone an email being like, we might have sent the wrong mug.
Actually, I mean, like for me, it was definitely Marshall texting me a picture asking what this was.
It's what I'm drinking my tea out of now. It's delightful.
Delightful mug. Thank you for moment number 11, production company. That was very funny.
Great mug to be sent by mistake. Perfect.
Indeed.
If I had to pick a perfect mug to be sent on accident, this is probably up there.
Do you want to go from 10 to 1 or how should we do this? Okay.
Although I don't know that I made
this in an order.
I don't think that we put these in an order. So we could just go 1.
They're pretty close to an order, I would say.
Ooh,
don't you think?
Yeah. How about let's just each pick one as we go.
Okay, great.
And we'll go through them that way.
All right.
But first, Maria, let's just remember what happened this year.
So in 2021, we had, I will say it, a banger of a Magic year.
Yeah, we did. There were some great sets.
We had Kaldheim.
Which, loved Kaldheim.
Loved it.
And to remind you of some of the mechanics that came with that, we had Foretell.
Yeah.
Great new mechanic. Boast and Snow returned.
Snow was huge for me.
Yeah.
I love snow.
And you live in Minnesota, so that's really saying something.
It's huge for me.
It takes a lot for Snow to make an impression here.
I love snow. I love snow lands. I love snow abilities. And now we have those cool pixel art snow lands for Secret Lair.
I never buy cosmetics on Arena, but I got the pixel snow.
Gotta get the pixel snow lands. I also bought them too.
Gorgeous.
I'm gonna put snow lands in every deck.
Yep.
Just to use them. I loved snow in Kaldheim. Kaldheim for me, I think, and everybody, was a really fun draft environment.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could do really cool 5-color stuff in draft, which you can't always do, which was really, really fun. And I liked the flavor of Kaldheim.
Yeah, it was such a fun draft set.
Viking themed Norse set. The alt art frame they had for Kaldheim was really beautiful.
Oh yeah, that's.
Do you remember that? Yeah.
Then we had Time Spiral Remastered happened this year.
Talk about things that you're like, that just happened this year? Jeez.
A highlight for us, I think. The Time Spiral Remastered video. The 2 box openings, back to back, bangers of box openings by us. If you have not seen them over on our YouTube channel. Kaldheim, we opened them in
an igloo.
In an igloo that was in Maria's neighbor's backyard.
Yep.
It's amazing. We were also quite cold.
Very cold.
Very cold. And then Time Spiral Remastered. We traveled through time.
We traveled through time in that box opening.
Rather effectively traveled through time.
I agree.
So
check that out on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/goodluckhighfive. Both those box openings were very fun.
Yeah. Then we had Strixhaven.
Oh my gosh, Strixhaven.
Yeah. Learn, Magecraft, and Ward.
I enjoyed Strixhaven a lot as well.
Very fun draft format also.
Yeah, great draft format. I loved the flavor more than anything, I would say, because we got to have our cool different schools at Strixhaven and kind of identify ourselves that way, much the same way that I really like Ravnica and we have the guilds.
Yeah.
So
it's strong magic identity.
Strong magic identity. I like sets that play with that. And Strixhaven really hit the nail on the head for me, especially because it made the school of Prismari, which I cannot deny is the school I would attend, even though I would rather not. That's who I am.
It's who you are. It's who you are.
I went to school in real life as a Prismari student. Didn't care much, for that. I mean,
it's because it wasn't a magic school full of mages.
That's true. It was a magic school full of theater students, which sometimes can be a little much.
Yeah, I believe that.
Strixhaven.
We also had Modern Horizons 2 this year.
Yeah.
Which shook up Modern.
It really did. It made Modern really...
Hello, Ragavan.
Ragavan was one of the biggest cards of the year for sure.
Oh, man. I forget who tweeted it, but someone was like, can you imagine if you travel back in time and you told someone that the most impactful card in Modern is Carrie Zev's monkey?
It's a monkey.
They'd be like, I'm sorry. Who?
What? And the thing too about Time Spiral and Modern Horizons 2 coming out, that's a little sad is, it was in the middle of this pandemic.
I know we didn't have a chance to go to some big Hallmark events like the Modern Masters Grand Prix back in the day.
That was incredible.
Right? And it really does suck to think about what we could have had.
Yeah, for sure. Because both of those sets would have been so much fun to play at big, like you said, big Hallmark events, but we just couldn't do it this year.
Yeah. Then we had Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, which had Venture into the Dungeon as a mechanic.
Wow.
Roll a d20, and of course the class enchantments.
I want to say that, gosh, this was another huge hit for Magic. Like,
really fun set,
super fun, and it was
in place of the core set, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, absolutely.
I think we talked about this on our show too, that we hope that they use the core set slot to do stuff like this in the future, because I think what a great idea.
And it looks like they are next year, right?
What is it next year?
Isn't it the Dominaria one?
Oh, the Brothers War?
No, that's the one after.
Oh, okay.
I want to say that the core set is once again Dominaria.
Wow. I'm trying to think what they're doing next year, because we're starting it off with Kamigawa, then New Capenna.
And then it's the Dominaria core set, and then it's the Brothers War.
And then it's the Brothers War. Okay.
I believe.
All right. Gosh. 2022.
And then we'll also have the Baldur's Gate Commander one.
Yeah, the Warhammer Commander situation, which is the official name, I think, of that product.
Warhammer Commander situation.
But what a smart idea for Wizards to do this.
Yeah.
Super talk about flavor dripping with it. Venture into the Dungeon. Do you remember when you heard about this? And you're just like, what?
For me, it was especially weird because this is the first set that I worked on.
That's right.
And so I saw it when it was just, on back end. And I was just like, what?
Excuse
Hello?
me? You're into some kind of weird dungeon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say that was for me the coolest thing that happened.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so unlike anything we have seen in Magic before, other than a saga, which I guess is its closest relative.
Yeah.
And we got to have more randomness added into Magic.
Yeah, with the roll of D20.
Dice rolling in Black Border for the first time.
Wild.
Had only been in unsets previous to.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I think is really cool.
And then, of course, we hit our double feature return to Innistrad.
Yeah.
First, the Werewolf set, and then the Vamp set, Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow.
Something interesting about this, too, is that they kind of figured a way around their rule of just doing one set at a time. Because back in the day, we would have sets in blocks of 3, and then they became blocks of 2, and then 1. And now here they're like, well, we kind of wanted to spend more than one moment on Innistrad, so we split it into 2 but made them flavorfully unique.
Yeah, and a little bit smaller.
And I think that was a really cool way to do that.
For sure. And that brought us the return of Daybound Nightbound, which was shifted a little.
Yes.
Reconfigured. Disturb, Coven, and of course the return of Flashback in Midnight Hunt. And then Crimson Vow brought us Training, Cleave, Blood Tokens, and a few exploit cards.
Blood tokens. That's the big takeaway for me from Crimson Vow.
Wow, yeah.
Blood tokens. Everybody loves them.
Yeah, blood tokens are great.
They're great.
They're really cool.
I've seen people say the only sad part about it is the fact that they're called blood tokens, so we can't just put them on anything anytime.
Yeah. I mean, everything bleeds.
There you go, Wizards.
One of the creepier things said on this.
There's your justification.
The podcast that brought you Supple Now brings you everything bleeds.
I mean, I'm going to look the other way. If you put blood tokens on something that doesn't make sense, I'll look the other way. I don't care because I think blood tokens are such a great mechanic and it's so simple. And another play on them using artifacts like food to kind of do stuff, treasure, whatever. Blood tokens are my favorite of the whole bunch.
They're pretty great.
Yeah. So as you're looking at these sets, I mean,
it's
overall,
really hard to pick a favorite.
How can you pick a favorite?
I think if I had to, it'd probably be Call Time.
Me too.
I just loved that draft environment.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
Which
we'll talk about more on next week's episode.
The Crimbies coming out next week. I think this was a great year for Magic. I mean, we didn't, you just heard us. Yes. Did we like complain about one of these?
No.
Not really.
I mean,
you cannot say that for 2020. We definitely had some thoughts.
We had some thoughts.
Which we'll get to in the Crimbies.
Yeah.
Throne of Eldraine. Sorry, it's something in my throat for far too long.
I didn't even
before
hear
it
what
rotated out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
that might be one of our top moments. Actually, should we
Okay, we'll start with that.
Segue into our top moments of 2021?
Top moments of 2021.
Goodbye, Eldraine.
Number 10, Eldraine finally rotates out of Standard.
Goodbye forever.
Goodbye forever. Don't let the door hit your bootus on the way out.
What a format-defining set from the moment it hit to the day it left.
To the day it died.
It was Bone Crusher Giant.
Yep.
It was ubiquitous everywhere. Everywhere
appropriately
you turned,
named Bone Crusher Giant.
A Bone Crusher Giant.
We all
there.
stomped under that giant's giant foot for
Bone Crushers
2 years.
To my right, Bone Crushers to my left, and here we are, stuck in the middle with Throne of Eldraine.
Stomped in the middle of Eldraine. Yeah, we finally lost Eldraine from Standard, which was absolutely huge because, like Megan said, Bone Crusher Giant basically made so many decks completely unviable in the format.
It was
and we had to ban so much stuff from it, by the way.
Yes.
We're not even talking about the cards that didn't even get to hang around to break everything because they had to just straight up be banned.
Just straight up cut them.
Once upon a time, goodbye almost immediately, etc.
Oko.
Duh.
Good day.
Yeah, good day to you, sir.
But yeah, what a set, what a defining for Magic.
Yes.
For years.
And the fact of it leaving, there was celebration and jubilation all around.
Yes.
When it left.
Yeah.
Did it shake things up as much as it should have by leaving? Probably not.
Yeah, it could have shook them up more, but we were all just happy.
We were happy to see it go.
Happy to see it go. Oh my goodness. Wow.
All right, I'll pick number 9 here.
Yeah, go for it.
Vaccines make in-person play possible once again.
Wow. Yeah.
This is huge,
what a thing.
Right? I mean, our magical lives for the past couple of years have been completely defined by the pandemic we're living in.
Yeah. It's and to some extent still are, right? Like while I think it was it's an incredible thing that people get to go back to their local game stores. I will not be a person who's venturing out to a big event for a while, for the foreseeable future, quite honestly.
I haven't played an in-store event since the pandemic.
Yeah. Which
is very sad because I love going to pre-releases, especially.
Yeah, we love them.
But it's just you got to assess your risk for yourself.
Yeah.
And what was I going to say?
But just seeing that Vegas happened, seeing all the photos of people there together, side by side with their friends again.
Yeah.
Unbelievable
that we're in fact able to do these things, which do carry some risk, of course, still. But the fact that we are able to do it, with the amount of precautions that we have, vaccine booster, mask wearing, ventilation, etc.
Yeah.
Being able to do it at all, once all proper precautions are taken, is huge given where we were when we recorded this episode last year, which was in quarantine, I believe.
Yeah, I think that we were still at this time last year recording in our own homes.
Yes. I remember recording the Crimbies episode remotely, so we must have been.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, right?
Yeah. I can't believe it. It is wild to me. I just got my booster this past week.
Yeah.
But that I got my vaccine this year.
That's so weird.
Right?
So weird.
It feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah, it really does.
To be able to, just being able to do the small things again of seeing my friends, of being able to sit here in the office and record.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to having to record remotely, as we did for months.
Months and months.
And it stunk. It's not as much fun at all to record remotely.
Bizarre. So huge deal that we're able to do it with all the things that we mentioned. Hopefully in 2022 we can push that even further, and like we'll be able to go to pre-release again and things will be better.
Gosh, I hope so.
It's all I can
really
hope.
So.
You know, I've been optimistic in the past.
Thinking about where we were a year ago, that we couldn't even be in the same room together.
Right.
Who knows a year from now?
I mean,
what could happen?
Can you imagine going back to a Grand Prix again or something like that? We don't know what's going to happen with organized play yet.
No, and will we ever?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. Speaking of things that we can do again.
Yes.
One of my moments for 2021 is I can take extra turns again.
Coming in at number 9.
Epiphany.
Wait, number
we're on
8
now.
Number 8. Meghan
or
can
number
take
9
turns.
again in the spirit of turns.
Yeah.
Yes. Hello, Alren's Epiphany. Hello, taking an extra turn after this one. We also got to see Time Spiral brought us into what was it? Some of these cards brought into historic.
Sure.
Time Warp.
Yeah. Time Warp.
Which we got to an amazing thing.
You know, I'm happy that at least one person is happy with the fact that Alren's Epiphany is hanging around, giving somebody extra turns.
Turns.
There are 2 kinds of people in this world, and you are looking at both of them currently. Oh, God.
Take all the turns.
You know, I mean, like, top moment, bad or good, top moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Our lives, as far as competitive Magic is concerned, were defined by turns for several tournaments.
Yes.
Tournaments, I should say. Wink.
I had to deal with the pain of saying goodbye to Nexus of Fate.
The pain.
The agony of saying goodbye to Nexus of Fate.
Good grief. I mean, how long was there before you could not take an extra turn? Like, how much time in between those 2 things happened?
Barely any, but Maria, I counted every day. Okay? I just love seeing a new extra turn card printed.
All right. Well, I'm going to steal number 7 here and say I got to play vampires again.
Oh, you love your vampy boys.
I love vampires. My favorite tribe by a huge long shot.
Yeah.
And I was so ecstatic to see an entire set based around vampires. That being said, I will say that no standard viable vampire deck does exist.
Big miss.
And I think that's really sad. The same thing could be said about werewolves. More about that when we record the
Alchemy
Crib
does
Beast,
seem to be there's a go. There's a lot of Tovolar.
For sure, in Alchemy, things are totally different. There's a competitive werewolves deck and a competitive vampires deck in Alchemy currently. Yeah. So, like, I'm very happy for that. I just wanted it to be in standard.
Speaking of that, I mean, we could use that to segue to number 6.
Yep.
Announcing digital-only cards in Alchemy.
Yeah, this was huge for this year. Do you remember when they said, hey, we're going to be doing some digital-only cards?
And everyone was like,
oh my God.
Did the floor just fall out from under me?
It was like the world exploded.
Yeah.
And imploded at the same time. And this was interesting, I recall, because we had, thought that this, at least I had thought about this for a long time. Like, is Magic going to do this?
I don't know that it had ever crossed my mind.
Oh, really?
But then they did it, and I was like, I can't believe it didn't cross my mind.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it for years. Like, will this happen? And it was kind of just living in the back of my skull. And then they mentioned it, and it was like, shoots to the forefront. It's like, yes, we are now doing it. What does that mean for Magic? I mean, we didn't know at the time. We still kind of don't know.
Like what will happen?
And this is a huge change for the game, right? Because we're splitting it in half.
Yes, it is like taking a little saw, like a little magician's saw, hear me out. I'm going to bring this metaphor around, Maria. No, like a bit, like when they cut a person in half.
Oh yeah.
And they cut the person in half, but also you open the box and it is still one whole person.
Oh.
Because magic is still one whole game.
There you go.
Did it.
Nailed it.
I did not expect to do it going into that metaphor, but it happened.
Yeah, and I think you're right. Like, people, of course, are ready to call that magic has died. They're like the coroner, and
Constantly.
they're like, call it, time of death, whenever we announce digital cards.
If you're the coroner who has to respond to every time that someone says magic is dead, you're constantly answering the phone, you're constantly driving to the scene, and you're constantly looking at a body, and you're like, this is alive.
You know, at some point, I always wonder, I'm like, when is it going to be the cry wolf moment? Because I keep seeing, people being like, oh, this will kill magic. This will kill magic. Magic is terrible. And it just never happens. And
it hasn't happened.
At what point will we collectively say, hey, this is the boy who cried wolf here for the millionth time. We're going to stop listening to you.
It's never going to happen. Yeah.
So anyway.
I mean,
that's just a personal question I have.
But who knows what will bring it about.
But I don't think we can undersell what an enormous moment this was for magic.
It was absolutely like earth shaking.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess my question is like, how much of this happens now versus if the pandemic hadn't happened and in-person play had continued?
I don't know.
Would this have happened this year, or would this have been 3 or 4 years from now?
That's a really good point. I don't know the answer to that because so many things would be different. Would we have lost the MPL and Rivals League?
Who knows? It is absolutely
Don't know.
Obviously.
If you're somebody from a different multiverse, will you come and let us know what happened in yours?
Yeah. I think, it's so wild to me. I fully believe that we will spend literally the rest of our lives reckoning with the way that the pandemic changed the world.
Absolutely.
And changed the trajectory of our lives.
Absolutely.
Because it's unfathomable.
Yeah. And
it touched literally every aspect of everything.
Every aspect, and for an extended period of time, and who knows how much longer into the future.
Exactly. And it's just kind of inconceivable to me that there's a world in which there's of the many infinite possibilities of universes.
Yeah.
There's one where it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And who knows what the world looks like.
Oh my God, that's so weird to
Isn't
think
it absolutely
about.
Wild?
Yes.
I think about it all the time too in the context of there were a bunch of people, not to completely derail this from magic talk.
Cannibalism.
But there are a bunch of people who are like, there's a decent chance that the election goes the other way if the pandemic didn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point
it's just
too. I don't know.
Massive thing that completely
Look, Ashton Kutcher made a movie about this. It's called The Butterfly Effect.
Oh my goodness. Except instead of a butterfly, it's a virus that has infected literally millions upon millions upon millions of people.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, we can never know. I'm going to guess, oh gosh, I don't know. Maybe it pushed it up by a year and a half, maybe?
I think that's a solid guess, right? It was always probably coming.
That's my guess.
But yeah, it just changed things so thoroughly.
We're still in the middle here, we're still in the beginning here of this digital-only implementation and the creation of alchemy, which is we're at the very exactly new beginning of that. So where are we going to be when we record this episode next year?
I think that alchemy, definitely a year and a half to 2 years.
Yeah, pushed up. Yeah.
Because I think it's going to be much harder to justify splitting standard and alchemy, like splitting those formats. Mm-hmm. If there's more in-person tournament play happening.
Yeah, that's true. So what happens next year and in 2023 as well with the creation of these digital formats and digital-only cards?
Freaking knows?
Well, here we are at the beginning, everybody.
Yeah.
So hold on for the ride here because we've got a long ways to go.
Absolutely unbelievable. Next up, we're going to say, you know what? D&D crossover finally happened.
Yeah, what are we at, number 5?
I think so. I don't know.
Number 5, D&D crossover.
Yeah, 5.
Adventures of the Forgotten Realms. We talked about this a little bit.
Yeah.
What I think this is one of the greatest ideas that finally happened that I'm sure other people thought of beforehand. Duh, we have these two monstrously popular IPs. Let's smash them together. You got peanut butter in my chocolate. You got chocolate in my peanut butter.
Yeah, exactly. Like the fact that Wizards of the Coast is producing these two things that have so much in common but have never had a crossover.
Right.
Or they've had crossovers where they made the Ravnica
books
for D&D, but they've never introduced D&D into Magic.
Yeah.
Kind of inconceivable.
Inconceivable.
Yes, exactly.
But here we are finally.
Yeah.
And it was so wonderful. I was looking through some of the cards from this set yesterday, and cards like just even like +2 Mace.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's such a great name for a card.
Yeah.
What a fabulous card to put into Magic. We get to see, fun characters like Flumph appear in a Magic set. Very, very cute card.
Yeah.
Love that. Love that little Flumpy, etc. And of course, those really innovative new mechanics like Enter the Dungeon. Venture into the Dungeon.
Yeah, Venture into the Dungeon. And just like the dungeon cards themselves, so cool.
So cool.
Like I'm really glad that we explored that space in Magic.
You mean that dungeon?
I'm really glad we explored that dungeon.
My question is, are we going to see more Venture into the Dungeon with other dungeons? It's a real question.
Who knows?
Because then that makes the other Venture into the Dungeon cards totally different.
Totally different if there's other dungeons.
Yeah. I just want to see more dungeons.
Yeah.
But like, does that break other dungeon cards? I guess we'll find out.
So we do have the Baldur's Gate Commander set coming out this coming year.
That's true.
So,
maybe new dungeons? Question mark. Oh, really interesting. Yeah. Okay. Number 4.
Yeah. Speaking of planes we've been to, returning to Innistrad.
Yeah, this was huge.
Yeah.
So as excited as everybody is for Kamigawa coming up next year, this is how we felt about Innistrad coming out this year.
Everybody loves
Innistrad.
It was really fun to see this plane in the aftermath of all the Eldrazi's.
Yeah.
All the sloopy-armed little sloopers.
Those sloopers. And they're like, hey, we want to see Innistrad back to classic horror themes. And they definitely delivered on that.
Oh, there's just... Right... Do you remember like Flesh Taker just being like a spooky person wearing an animal mask with a cleaver standing out in a field? So creepy. I always love the classic horror moments.
Yeah, for sure.
And stuff like that.
Yeah, they nailed it. I loved both of these sets flavorfully, art direction wise. Just absolutely gorgeous art incorporated in both of them as well.
Really incredible. Yeah.
And I liked being back on Innistrad kind of for the first time for us because our Innistrad was
Spooky Moon Innistrad.
Which was the Eldrazi, which wasn't true Innistrad.
No.
And when we started playing with Return to Ravnica, we had just missed original Innistrad.
Yeah, so this was our first time on the true
Innistrad.
True Innistrad.
Not with Eldrazi running around. Yeah. So that was a huge return for us. And next year, we're going to see big returns. I know a lot of really enfranchised players are super excited about the Brothers War because that harkening back to some really, really old Magic lore, the oldest, honestly.
And going back to Kamigawa, which I think some people had given up on.
Yeah, it ever happening.
I think that there were plenty of people out there who were just like, that's never happening.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think I maybe would have counted myself as one of them as being like, they're going to have to work real hard to try and make that work out.
Exactly.
But they put in the work and they're like, we're going to make it happen. So we're going to see it.
All right. Number 3.
Yeah. I think let's go with the Japanese team that put 4 players into the Innistrad Championship top 8. It's just been delightful to see, like, especially going into that event where there were like some grumpy people online being like, I didn't even practice for this. And you're like, great. I'm so glad you're so cool that you didn't even practice.
Yeah. Like, okay.
It's just some, anyway.
Well, you know that caring about things is cringe, Megan.
Exactly. People have told us many times that we are very cringe because we're so excited. And do you know what? If being excited makes me cringe, then cringe me up, baby.
Then call me Chris Cringel because I'm here for Christmas and I'm going to stay.
Chris Cringel. Call me the cringe. I'm the cringe who celebrated Christmas. Anyways.
Oh my God. But the Japanese team, they were like, well, cool. We're going to try.
What if we try hard and we come with decks that are just like the perfect decks?
Yeah.
They brought that Golgari food deck that just gave us nightmare mirrors all throughout the top 8, but because they had put 4 players into the top 8 with it.
Putting 4 players into the top 8 cannot be underestimated as how incredibly difficult that is.
It's so difficult, and it just really, it's such a testament to like them putting in the work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, like those players working to be like, we're going to be at the top of this tournament.
The last time we saw that volume of players from a single team into the top 8 was the Cobblade testing team of Channel Fireball, which was more than a decade ago.
Or was it, what about Eldrazi Winter?
Gosh, I don't remember.
Because I think that the team that came with the Eldrazi decks, this was during Spooky Moon. Wait, no, Battle for Zendikar. This was Battle for Zendikar when a whole bunch of cheap little Eldrazi had come out.
I'm trying to remember. I get them confused in my head as to which one I'm thinking of at any given moment of the Eldrazi decks.
Anyways, I feel like that was right, but that was also a ways back. That was Battle for Zendikar years ago now.
So congratulations again to them for putting 4 players into the top 8. We'll be seeing a lot more of them. I think we're in Japan's magic moment right now. Yeah. Again.
And as people have said, I think that this is a valid criticism. Will Wizards of the Coast organized play do anything to make tournaments better time-wise for those players?
I don't know.
Because they're all playing at 2 in the frickin' morning.
Oh yeah, I'll play through the night.
Yes,
absolutely.
And despite the fact that while all of their all the US counterparts are getting to play at like normal daytime hours, they're still winning, having to play in the middle of the night.
Yeah, this was kind of mitigated when we had real life tournaments because
everyone's traveling to the location. There. Exactly. Like usually they get there like a week in advance, have some time, like no matter where you are around the globe, everyone gets there early, has some time to adjust.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's worth calling out that like it has I think that organized play has always been fairly American centric.
For sure.
And like it's only become arguably more so, even though in a way digital play should globalize a thing and make it more accessible globally. OP organized play is still kind of US focused by making all these tournaments US daytime.
So I guess we'll see what happens when we move, back to paper play.
Yeah.
I'm like, will that happen next year? Will we get one paper tournament?
Who knows?
We don't know. There's no way to know. But Japanese testing team putting 4 people into the top of the Innistrad Championships. Yeah. Unbelievable moment.
Yeah. Speaking of organized play, we cannot let this year go by without talking about one of the hot button topics, which is, of course, the MPL and Rivals Leagues being murdered stone cold dead.
Coming in at number 2. Yeah, so
that's them taking a chainsaw to the body.
I heard it. I thought it was your magician saw again, though, honestly. What if you're doing that magician trick, but instead of just a handsaw, you just break out a chainsaw?
Yeah, you're just like,
you're like, let's kick this up a level. Yeah. So the MPL and Rivals Leagues dying, I think, is something that was both shocking and not shocking at the same time.
Yeah.
When that was announced.
I forget, what terminology did you use when you hated it into the ground?
Yeah.
I think was how you described it. How could players be surprised when they hated it into the ground?
That is true.
Yes.
Nobody liked it.
If they were bodies that have been buried, you have to take, all the people that complained about it have to take some responsibility for having put them there.
So when the MPL and Rivals Leagues got announced, it was a huge effort by Wizards. Like they had put a lot of money behind this. If you remember that commercial that was like, the world will know who you are.
Yeah.
Playing Magic.
Everyone will know your name.
Everyone will know your name. Mm-hmm. But I think we've talked this over to death over the year, but the huge problem was there was like issues with, just all of a sudden, boom, people were in it. There wasn't a system to put you there. You were just there when it was announced.
The system to get there always felt kind of rocky to people, I think.
And very, very complicated.
Yes.
And then tournaments being held times when people weren't super interested in watching a tournament. So after a set had been out and standard for a long time.
Yes, a big part of it, I think.
We could go on and on. There were so many problems with it, but nobody seemed happy about it, even though it was something that pro players had been calling for a long time, which was a way to make a living securely playing the game, which it did give them.
Yeah.
A set salary to play Magic.
Yeah.
Anyway, they didn't like it. People at top didn't like it, how it was turning out, I'm sure, because not a lot of people were interested or watching it.
It was just it was a rough go all around.
So
and another thing that it's so difficult to say that's like, how much did the pandemic alter the course of this?
Yeah, exactly.
Completely unknown. Who knows what it would be like?
But that's something I would say that the reason for that is why it was not surprising, because it felt like a failure on, I'm going to say it, every single level, which is kind of impressive, honestly. But it was surprising in that we were, it wasn't like we were expecting it to be the baby thrown out with the bathwater, but it certainly was.
Yep, absolutely.
That baby got tossed straight into the street.
All of it.
There it goes.
Yeah.
And now we are still in limbo land of what's going to happen with organized play and Magic the Gathering. Now, we do have little stopgaps that we've been doing now since that announcement.
We know how people qualify for the World Championship this coming year.
Yep,
which is a big thing. But as for the individual set championships, it's kind of still just like, well, we know that there's the online ways.
Yep. You can do it on the arena qualifier weekends.
But we don't really have much other info.
But that's what we've got right now.
Yeah.
So hopefully next year we'll learn more about that. But the MPL and Rivals Leagues dying was just an enormous change from an enormous endeavor from Wizards of the Coast in 2021.
But let's end on a high note, Maria.
That brings us to the number one moment,
which was Yuta Takahashi winning the World Championship.
Yay!
Because he was so happy about it, because he had such a rough start to that tournament.
Oh, yeah.
And when he won his match to get into the top 8, it was just like a galvanizing moment, it felt, for all these people watching who were suddenly like,
oh, yeah,
this is the person I want to see win, because he was over the moon about it.
When he screamed "Yata" when making it in, it was just a cathartic moment that I think encapsulates why everybody plays Magic.
Yes, exactly. It was like everyone watching was just like, that's what you're playing for, right?
That's it, right there.
You play for that moment when you are just like, I did it.
I did it.
I made it into the top 8 of this event against some really tough odds.
Starting out that tournament 0-3 in draft, which, by the way, we had draft for the first time. Put that on the list.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
At an arena tournament. Yeah.
Pretty great.
Really great. That's very, very exciting for people like us who love Limited.
Yeah.
But I asked this question on Twitter, what was the number one moment for you? And the number one answer was Yuta winning Worlds.
Absolutely.
And a player who's been playing the game for a very long time, super well respected in the community, known for his wins in Modern with Fairies, turning that into success here. And then
just really great.
Coming back at the next tournament, the Innistrad Championship, and going into the top 8 again.
Absolutely. So just again, excellent play.
Yuta Takahashi.
Let them play not in the middle of the night.
What an incredible Magic player. Really excited to see what happens with him coming up next year.
Yeah.
If he can keep this insane streak going.
It's great.
And what a fabulous moment. That's just like, this is why we play this game. There it is. That joy that Yuta had on his face is the reason. And I think that's a great, way to round out 2021 is thinking about that moment.
Absolutely. Wow. What a year.
What a year. I mean, when we were talking about, hey, we were recording this in isolation last year.
I honestly, it's, I've had a lot of anxiety about this year ending and kind of where everything is at the end of this year.
Where is everything at the end of this year?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's kind of nice to talk about exactly how long it's everything that has happened this year, because it gives me some hope. That's right. It's that's right. You honestly can't say what 2022 is going to bring. Because just thinking on the scope of 2021, I kind of can't believe everything that happened.
No.
And so it's really nice to stop and say, hey, if things feel tough right now, because there's a lot of reasons why they do.
Yeah.
You don't know. Who knows what the next year is going to bring? it'll be a long, long time until we're doing this episode again.
Hey, man, we got vaccines, which
Absolutely.
is a miracle of science.
It's unbelievable.
It is a scientific
so
miracle
happy.
based on decades of research.
My booster murdered me for 4 days. I was so sick, and I am so happy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I am so happy.
Give me another one. That's what I say.
To have been so sick for 4 days.
I did better with my booster, but like
I'm glad. I would only wish this on my worst enemies.
But I would get another shot today.
Yeah.
Give me another
Same.
one.
If they were like, do you know what? This will give you 100%. I'd be like,
yeah,
stick it in me, baby.
Give me the jab. So like stuff like that. It's like easy to forget that we have this absolutely unbelievable miracle called vaccines, which help us not die.
Yeah.
Or pass the disease to people who will die. And like that's something that happened this year.
That happened this year. Unbelievable.
Do you have a favorite magic moment of 2021? Let us know. Tweet at us at GLHF Magic. We would love to hear about it.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Before we go, Ultra Pro is another awesome sponsor of Good Luck High Five.
Check it out. Megan's got a new toy.
Okay, this is like a giant plushy D20, but it also is a dice bag.
Look at it!
So you can store your dice inside this giant die. Who doesn't want to do that? It's the souple of dice.
We regret calling it the souple of dice.
We immediately regret calling it that. But it is a cannibal die that will eat your other dice and just hold on to them for you and just be like so soft and plushy and cute and has a cute little carabiner and you can hook it onto your magic bag.
Comes in different colors. Megan has a green one right now.
Delightful.
Just a delight. Look at this.
Look at this.
I want to go to a GP and have this hanging off my backpack.
Oh,
that's what I want.
Cute.
Really, really cute.
Yeah. Absolutely adorable.
You can get cool dice bags like this from Ultra Pro. Check out the link in our show notes to go and buy some. They've got these dice ones. They have ones that look like mimics. They've got lots of really cool dice bags. So check them out on the internet. Link in the show notes.
Ultra Pro.
Get plushed. Well, everybody, that's this episode of Good Luck High Five. Yeah. Thank you so much for listening and hanging out with us. If you're on a vacation, hopefully we helped you relax, kick back, and relive some of the highlights of 2021.
And if you're like, I wanted more judging about what was the best and what was the worst, then our next episode of the Crimbies is for you.
We're going to give awards to our favorite and least favorite cards of the year, decks of the year, moments of the year. Yeah. It's a very fun episode. We hope you check it out. We don't have another upkeep coming up next week. This week was the last upkeep of the year, which was episode 149, by the way.
Wow.
Of the upkeep, which is kind of wild.
Speaking
since we started
of things
doing
that have just been going on.
Yeah, the upkeep. We mentioned Patreon. Become a patron before the end of the year. It would be wonderful if you're like, I wish I could get Maria and Megan a present for the holidays.
That's all we want.
That's what we want.
That's all we want.
You to be a patron, and you can play in our patron tournament in January. Come to our movie night in February.
Yeah. In fact, we can even throw in January at some point. We'll throw up a little poll for what movie we'll watch.
Oh yeah,
in
that's
February.
a good idea. That's a good idea. We had a really fun time. Yeah. So people love our tournament. So hopefully you become a patron. You can participate in those things next month and the months after. Thank you to Card Kingdom and Ultra Pro for hanging out with us this year and being incredible sponsors. And here's to 2022.
Who knows what'll happen?
Who knows what it'll bring? But I do know one thing it'll bring.
What?
A raccoon friend.
It's true.